Hi, welcome to IELTS Hockey. In this video, I'll do a full speaking test for you guys, an IELTS speaking test. And I'll be reading the questions in my mind and I'll be giving the answers only. This video will give you a fair idea of how I scored a band 8.5 twice in the speaking test. And I scored an 8 also in the speaking test once. So let's start. I'll go by the order of the questions only. And for my timer, I have my phone. I'll use it in the cue card section. So this is test 7 from the official guide. So, okay. About my hometown, I think the most valuable thing is that there is a lot of food to eat. I've lived in other cities also, and I was not very satisfied with the quality of the food. But in my hometown, the I think the lusciousness is the greatest virtue. Well, yes, my hometown is called Amritsar, and it is a place for the tourists, and it is famous for the Golden Temple, which is a monument and a Sikh shrine. And people from all over the world, I think, come here to see this religious sanctum sanctorum. And there's nothing that has something comparable to this beautiful place. And also, Amritsar is known for its heritage and that Jallianwala Bagh massacre. So there is a lot to see for the tourists. Yeah, yes, it has. As in, not in the recent years, but I would say in the last decade only. The thing is that the government has taken a lot of interest in changing it, and they have transformed the area, around the Golden Temple itself, first of all. And after that, I think I think there have been some improvements in regard to the shopping malls, and there have been some malls that were not there in perhaps the uh, early 2000s, and I was very happy about it when I could see a mall in my own city. I think I do each of these because I'm an English teacher and I have to teach various exams. I have to teach TOEFL, IELTS, PT, and all. And for some, I have to write letters. For some, I have to write reports. And essays are I think, common phenomenon. And emails, I do not have to write much, but for the academic part, but I have to write emails to other people. And I write emails to communicate with people for sure. And that is not something that relates to my profession. I love to write using a computer only because I'm a very, I would say, fussy person. I care about grammar, vocabulary, and spelling a lot. So what happens is that in the computer, I'm able to have a software, have an application that will do all these corrections and evaluate my writing. But when I write in pen, I have to check each and every spelling and I have to check each and every grammar element, and that is a bit time taking, so I get tired a lot. But with the computer thing, I'm able to do it in a jiffy. As the years have progressed, my writing, I would say, amount has also increased because I've been getting more students now, and I became popular because of a video on a YouTube channel. It was a motivational talk, and since then I've been getting a lot of students, so I have to write various samples and I have to write a lot of other stuff also for them. So I am actually about my penmanship now. I am into creative stuff for sure. I used to write a lot of stories earlier, but now there has been a lull. I have not written a story in the last, I would say, 2 3 years, and so is the case with poems. But if given a chance, I can write either of them. Yeah, I wrote a story in one of the exams I took. It was Language Search C2 Mastery Writing exam, and I wrote a story as in the second question, and I scored a 44 on 50. I love myself. Music, my day starts with music only because when I bathe, I kind of listen to music, and even between classes, if I have to relax myself, there is nothing better than listening to music. And my favorite singer right now, I would say, is perhaps okay. I have been listening to this song a lot, Bam Bagya. It's a Punjabi song. I download music from the internet only. I don't download music at all. Nor do I purchase CDs or something. The thing is that there's a lot of material on YouTube, and I can listen to songs whenever I need. And also, there are some apps that provide digital access to music, so Spotify and all. So I do not need to buy CDs, or and also I do not need to download anything. Um I would say earlier I was not into Punjabi music. I used to, look down on it. It was like something inferior. But as I grew, I became fonder of it. I became fonder and fonder of Punjabi music and Hindi music. I used to listen in my childhood also. I am very fond of it right now also. And English music has been something that I started listening to when I got involved in English properly. And now all three kinds of music are my heart and soul. Well, not necessarily. I do not have anything related to music, as in regard to my being involved in it, apart from listening to it. So I would not want to learn to play a musical instrument, though I love listening to the flute. Okay, now part one is ended, and I do not make any notes in the cue card section, so I would not be writing or I would not be doing anything of that sort. But I'm gonna take 1 minute to prepare, and then I'll speak for 2 minutes. So the 1 minute is over. I think he was the stupidest person who said goodness begets goodness, because there was a time when I tried to help someone because she was related to me. It was my friend's wife, and I kind of hired her in my occupation. The thing is that I was an English teacher, and I had a startup where I was the owner, a semi owner, and I had this freedom of choosing someone to help me there in the academic part, and I gave a chance to one of my friend's wife. And the thing is that she came out to be someone who, she was a Janus faced personality. She stabbed me in the back. The thing is that I was not aware of her inaptitude. She was not very good at teaching IELTS. She did not know much. Just that because my friend had recommended her, I went about employing her. And after that, a scuffle happened between the other owner and me, and she kind of backstabbed me at that point. She um, told some of my things. She tried to manipulate the other owner to get my position only. And also she said very nasty things about me. I had hired her, I had given her a job that could make her earn something, make her earn a good amount. And I also used to give her the leverage to leave the office early, to the leverage to be able to teach less, so that I used to respect her because she was my friend's wife. But she was not something, she was not someone who deserved that. So it so happened that at a point I left the job and I started my own startup, IELTS, and she was there only. But now I think they have kicked her out. And when I tried to, when the quarrel was going on, I tried to talk to her also. I tried to speak to her, and I was not aware of the fact that she was recording me. She was recording me and, telling, passing the things on to the other owner, and by doctoring them, and that is not something that she should have done. And helping people in your neighborhood is a very good thing, and people should do that. And we can help them by, serving them dishes, as in they should be the people who should be, the ones who partake in our delicacies, and who should partake of our delicacies. And apart from that, we can ask them after regular intervals, as in if they want something or if they have something that is problematic, and we could help them with the problem. And perhaps we could make adjustments in our lives so that they are relieved. For instance, if they do not like the loud music we use, we should turn the volume down. And we should also be taking care of the fact that they have if they have someone old, we should be taking care of the old person ourselves also, by giving them the medicine or buying them the medicines, or maybe we can take them to a walk so that they are relieved. And when we do things of these sorts, I think our neighbors will love us more. Neighbors are more important. Okay, let me read the line. Neighbors are more important than friends and relatives because they live next door. And whenever you are in a problem, you would want to get to someone who is, in the who is closest geographically, who is in the who is in proximity, and in close proximity. And so if you have a good relationship with them, they are going to help you. If you are, if it is all animosity between you, then you are not going to be helped by the person. And apart from that, humanity wise also, what is wrong with helping someone who is in a problem, and and the person lives next door, and you should be doing such things in general also. And if someone is in a problem, someone is in trouble, right adjacent to you, as in that problem is going to pass on to you also. For instance, they have this water problem, and there's a leakage or something. Of course, if their walls are going to have the bad effects, your walls are going to have the bad effects too, because the wall is common, perhaps, at least in my case. So helping them is helping yourself, and we should not be any reluctant in doing so. Well, I would say yes, but that is not a problem, or that is not a mistake of the urban people, because urban people have a lot to do. They have such tight schedules that they do not have enough time to, scrutinize each other's lives, and then go on helping them with the respective problems. Rural people have a lot of time when they have been through their, bucolic life, when they have been through their simple things, then they have time to share things with each other. And when they get to know each other's things, of course they have enough they have enough time, and they have enough bonding, so that they can go ahead and make each other's lives more peaceful. And urban people are kind of practical also, because in cities it is something that people, because of the culture only, have become a bit more selfish, a bit more, I would say, practical. So there is no emotional quotient that is going to force one to help the other. And there in the countryside, they know that they do not have enough resources to fend for themselves forever, so they have to depend on each other. So that codependence also forces them to help each other, and they actually kind of are more into helping each other. The first I would say is the teaching job only, which I am involved in. The thing is that this job is all about sacrificing and helping your students, then making notes and then evaluating exams. So it takes a lot. It is an exacting job. And also students wise, also students are a lovely people, students are a lovely people. They would go the extra mile to preserve the dignity of their teacher. And it has been seen various times where students have even participated in revolutions to save their teachers. And as in, it was a case with one of the teachers in Bihar. I do not remember the name, but that was something startling, because I could see someone having so much of an impact that people who paid him to get taught were the ones who were sacrificing their lives to save the person. So that is something out of this world. That is surreal. And another job that focuses on helping other people would be, I think, the works done by the NGOs and all, because they are all about the altruistic efforts. They would try to save other people. They would try to help people by going the extra mile and doing something that is all social and very little commercial. And for instance, they have these blood donation camps, or they have these adult education schemes. So that is not paying them, as in these things are not paying them, but they want to help people. So that is why they are doing such things, and hats off to them. First of all, the people should be very sympathetic, because without sympathy you cannot feel for others, and then you are not able to help others. And if you're forced to do something, of course you cannot do it. So if you're forced to help someone, you might actually end up harming them. So there should be the sympathy that is very organic, that is not forced into you. And that will make you able to help others. For instance, if we consider maybe Mother Teresa, she was never raucous or boisterous. She was very sympathetic. She was very polite, and that actually indicated her in internal, I would say, or maybe innate humility that led her to help, that led her to serve humanity, and that is something that I vouch for. And another quality that is needed is that you should be rich enough, because helping others requires you to not do something for yourself commercially, and you should have enough financial resources to sail through life yourself also. So if you are financially strong, then you can help others. But otherwise, if you are, suppose you are inundated with poverty, and what help will you give to other people who are struggling with similar issues? Because you will be frustrated yourself, and then what will happen will be something of a double whammy, where a person who needs help is trying to help others, and no help is actually transpiring. It is actually frustration that is making the first person you know even more down in the dumps. And they would not be able to help others, but um, they would be blind to what their own, I would say, problems are. And internally they will be forced to improve their own lives, but because of maybe some kind of pressure they're helping others, so they are confused, they are in a paradox. And what will happen will be that the helping person might hurt the victims out of maybe frustration, agitation, or any of the vices that are there with similar words. You can say so. As in, I said that you have to have a lot of money to be able to help others. And if I talk about jobs, as in, or if I talk about the non-governmental organizations, then of course they might not get any pay to help others. And so it is not low, it is actually zilch now. And after that, I think if I talk about teachers also, they are not paid the best of the salaries. And they have to work extra to even serve their own families, as is the case with me. I do not earn so much that I am able to buy a car I just earn enough to, you know, live properly. And that is something. And also I would say this is not something to be, you know, that this is not something that we should fret about, because people who want to help others do not care about money at all, and they need money, of course, for them to be able to live properly. But it's their secondary thing. The primary motive of their lives is to help others, and for that I think money is a very small sacrifice. If they're actually good, if they're just a sham, then of course it is not going to help them. But otherwise I think the remuneration is very low. I would say another I can think of is doctors maybe who are employed in rural areas. They are also helping. If a doctor is in a metropolitan area, I think he is living like a king. But if a doctor is in a, you know, rural area and he is trying to help others, for instance, in that movie Swades, the person was trying to help the village people, or maybe the countryside people. I have not seen the movie, but I know a little bit about it, so I might be factually wrong here, but the gist is the same. So a doctor maybe who lives in a rural area to help others might not be able to enjoy a financially strong life, just because he doesn't have enough finances, or he is not given enough finances by the government. Some people do not want to help others, and that's a personal choice. It's not something that we should judge them on the basis of. The thing is that some people are bitter because of their own life experiences. For instance, a person had a sadist father, or perhaps a person was you know, treated unfairly. He's indignant, so he has gone against humanity because life hasn't been kind to him, so he doesn't want to be kind to other people also. So the thing is that they have this inherent bitterness that has made them reluctant to help others. And apart from that, some people are evil also. They would want them to live the best lives, but they cannot see others grow. And for instance, our to illustrate, our relatives, they cannot see a relatives a relative's son grow enough, and you know, outstrip their own children. So they would be dying in envy if they saw someone growing. And that is something. These are the two factors I think that become a hindrance to helping others. Apart from that, I think a person might be you know, a person might have some stipulations that do not let him go ahead and help others. For instance, he is not financially strong, or if there is a family issue, perhaps as in, for example, there is this person who has an ill mother, and he wants to go ahead and help students. You know, to illustrate, he's a teacher. So but because of his ill mother, he cannot step ahead and leave his mother and you know, go teach poor students in another area. So that is something fine also, because you have your own priorities, and help is a choice, not an obligation. Yes, governments have a responsibility to help you know, the citizens, because that is why they choose the governments, no, so that they are able to live properly. They have something, they have someone to rely on. They have someone who is going to help them in troubling times. And also you know, if we take an example of a farmers revolution, where they are not given enough financial support to be able to grow crops properly, then they can look up to the government, because the government was selected so that the country could run smoothly. And the country can't run smoothly if the people are frustrated, if the people are not given enough help. And also, if we go by the written versions also, like the constitution or the books that mandate what a government you know, needs to do, then there also the governments have this responsibility that they should keep the citizens before themselves. And that is why they have been chosen. It is not something that they were elected to live glorious lives themselves. Then they could have become maybe MNC employees. Yes, people who help others deserve more help than people who do not help others, because you get something if you give something, if you give the same thing, I would say. So for instance, there is a guy who goes beyond his comfort to help people who are in, who need something. Then of course, when the person himself is in a troubling position, when the person himself is in trouble, there should be some people who should come and help him. And simultaneously, if there's a person who is going through something similar, but that person did not help needy people when the needy people needed help, then the former should be given the former should be given the priority. Because as in, you have seen him leave his things back and come to help you, and he, you know by the principle of justice or by the principle of fairness, his I would say side has more to attract you to help him than the other side, because that person was indifferent to your maybe woes and your woes and your sorrows. So why should you go and help him? Maybe he's a nice person otherwise, but the responsibility, the principle of equilibrium states that they should be, when you have that obligation to help others, you should choose the people who have helped you or helped others in their time, and not the ones who were apathetic to others, maybe troubling times. And apart from that, people um, who have a promise, as in who have a promise that if they were helped in their troubling times, they would be better persons afterward. And if you see that another person, in the same time frame, if he were helped, he would become a vicious person afterward, then of course the potential virtuous person should be helped, and the other person should not be helped at all, because you do not want to support his vices. So that can be a case also. So fine, I think this was enough. And okay, let's do one thing. Suppose after the last question, the examiner states, do you have any other point regarding that? Then I would say, one more thing that I can think of right now is that people who are emotionally more connected to you, or maybe familiarly, they are more connected to you, deserve more help than deserve, I would say, um, earlier help than the people who are distant or the people you do not have any connections with. Because if you want to help people, your charity begins at home. So as cliched as it may sound, but you should be helping the ones who have raised you, or the ones who have been there with you, or the ones you are biologically responsible toward, than the people who are just the same species as you are. You should help them also for sure, but your first responsibility is your kinship. Fine, I hope this video was useful. And if you liked it, give it a like, leave a comment if you want me to do something more in this regard, and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you very much.